You know, it's funny how the most terrifying moments of our lives can pop up on the most ordinary of days. A camping trip, a train ride home from school, a simple summer job. They can all take a sharp turn into something way, way darker. Today, we're going to dive into 3 stories where that is exactly what happened.
I mean, just think about that for a second. It's a truly chilling thought, isn't it? The idea that the person standing just out of sight, in the shadows, could be the subject of tomorrow's terrifying headline. Well, for a couple of teenagers, this wasn't just a scary what-if question. It was their reality. All right, so our first story kicks off with 2 high school friends, a shared hatred for camping, and a plan to inject some much-needed excitement into a really disappointing trip. They decided to explore a place they absolutely, positively should not have been.
So the narrator and his friend Charles were picturing this rugged, back-to-nature wilderness experience. What they actually got was, well, it was basically a glorified backyard right next to an amusement park. As you can imagine, their disappointment pretty quickly morphed into a mischievous plan.
Their mission was to climb to the very top of a roller coaster. I mean, this was a full-on stealth operation. They had to wait for the adults to be sound asleep, scale the fence, and then dodge security guards who were literally patrolling in golf carts. The thrill was real, but oh yeah, so was the risk. So this was the moment of truth. They're high above the ground, part of the climb has no railings, and their adrenaline is just pumping. They take in the incredible view from the top, but they decide, okay, let's not push our luck, and they start to head back down. On their way out, they have to duck behind a snack shack to avoid a guard. And in that forced stillness, when everything is quiet, the narrator catches something out of the corner of his eye. Just a flicker of movement where there should have been nothing but shadows. And then his friend Charles sees it too. It's not an animal, it's a person, hiding between 2 buildings, and he's crouching down in the exact same way they are, also trying to avoid the guards. But here's the really unsettling part. They had this chilling feeling that this person was looking directly at them. The guard's golf cart is still making its rounds, so they're all trapped in this weird standoff. Suddenly, the figure just makes a break for it, dashing through this tiny patch of light. And for a split second, they see him clearly. A disheveled guy in tattered clothes, but that's not what freezes them with terror. It's what's on his face. This wasn't just some homeless person trying to find a place to sleep. The dark liquid smeared all over the man's face was unmistakably blood. The 2 friends just exchanged this terrified look, scramble back to their tent and say absolutely nothing, trying to even begin to process what they had just seen. Then, the next morning, a camp staffer comes around with a terrifying announcement. A man was murdered at a nearby lake. The suspect is still on the loose. And the description? It matches the man they saw. Perfectly. The entire campsite is evacuated for safety, and the boys realize they were just feet away from a killer. And here is the really haunting part of the story. They never told anyone. Not their parents, not the rangers, nobody. The narrator admits that at that age, the immediate fear of getting in trouble for trespassing just felt more real, more potent than the abstract horror of what he'd actually witnessed. It's a decision he says he still kicks himself for. So that first story really shows how fast a teenage prank can turn into a brush with the killer. Our next story also starts on a totally ordinary day, but this one takes place during a very, very strange time in recent history, when a bizarre national panic had pretty much everyone looking over their shoulders.
For anyone who doesn't remember, or maybe wasn't around for it, 2016 was the year of the creepy clowns. I'm not kidding. Sightings were popping up everywhere. Most of them were just hoaxes, but a few were terrifyingly real, and this story is one of the real ones.
So our narrator, a high school junior, is on his usual train ride home, and he is about as unaware as a person can possibly be. Headphones in, music blasting, completely sucked into his phone. He has absolutely no idea what is about to happen. The train stops at his station, and he gets up on pure muscle memory, but something's blocking the door. He looks up, and his blood just runs cold. It's a man in a full clown costume, rainbow pants, giant shoes, smeared makeup, and he is standing silently in the doorway, preventing him from getting off. Everything happens in just a matter of seconds. The narrator has maybe 5 seconds before those doors close again. He tries to brush past, but the clown lunges at him, trying to tackle him to the ground. He dodges, starts running, and as he glances back, he sees it. The clown is holding a kitchen knife. He just sprints up the stairs and out of the station, not even daring to look back. The clown doesn't follow him. By the time the police arrive, the clown has vanished, leaving the narrator shaken but safe, and with a story that perfectly captures the terror of that bizarre 2016 phenomenon.
Our final story is about a job that right from the start seemed a little too good to be true, and as the narrator would soon find out, when something seems off, it usually is, sometimes dangerously off.
So the narrator finds this private lifeguarding job, but there are some major red flags right away. The hours are basically a graveyard shift for a pool. The pay is astronomically high. And in a town that's predominantly Spanish-speaking, they specifically wanted someone who did not speak Spanish. Well, he's fluent, but the money is just too good to pass up, so he decides to lie.
He gets the job, and right away, things are weird. There's this secret pool house that's only accessible to people wearing special blue wristbands. He starts noticing their backpacks always seem a lot fuller when they leave. People start overpaying him by huge amounts of cash, and when he asks his boss about it, he's just told to ignore it. The pieces start to come together. And then, one day, the full gravity of the situation hits him like a ton of bricks. This isn't just a lifeguarding job. He's a cog in a criminal enterprise. The overpayments, the secret pool house, that weird hiring rule, it all points to money laundering. You know, the process of making illegally gained or dirty money look legitimate by funneling it through a real business. Well, his secret is eventually exposed. He takes a phone call from his mother and has to speak to her in Spanish. When he hangs up, his boss, Esteban, is standing right there. He asks him point blank how long he's known the language. The narrator tries to lie his way out of it, but it's no use. That friendly demeanor his boss always had, it was just gone. Esteban just stares at him, silent. The narrator is completely convinced his boss is contemplating what to do with him, a witness who understands everything he was never, ever supposed to. He truly believes his life is hanging in the balance. When Esteban tells him to come in early the next day for a new opportunity, the narrator knows it's a threat. He goes home that night and never comes back. So you have 3 different people, all confronted with a moment of pure terror. One of them stayed silent out of fear of getting in trouble. One ran for his life. And one just walked away from a dangerous situation he'd willingly been a part of. It really makes you wonder, in that split second, with your heart pounding in your chest, what would you have done?